What's up, y'all? Good rising and happy Monday. Good Monday. Resurrection Monday. Hopefully, some of y'all are off work and getting the opportunity to rest this morning, rise early with me, but still, chill and relax. I'm so excited to do this with y'all. So, first, I just want to talk about why I decided to do this because, literally, this was like a last minute thing that I decided to do. I literally decided to do it like a week and a half ago. I'd been talking to my team members about just doing some live streams in the Brown Mamas group. I was like, we need to stay active. I've had a lot going on in my personal life. It's been quite the journey the last few weeks. I'm supposed to put that up there. Yeah, hold on. It's been quite the journey the last few weeks, or the last few months of the year. Just I've had a very ill family member that I'm caretaking for. I've had a lot of changes in my business, and really, this 40 transition is kicking your girl's ass, like in some very real ways, just body wise, health wise, a lot. And I was like, I want to do something this for me, like that I just enjoy and that I love to do. And I've told y'all numerous times that the number one thing that I love to do is I love talking to y'all. I love communing with y'all. I love being around y'all and hearing your opinions and listening. And that's why I'm always stalking people on Facebook and just loving your stories, because I'm really listening and I'm really paying attention, and I'm really just enamored by people. I'm a people watcher, and I'm a people talker, and I'm a peopler behind the scenes, not necessarily in person all the time. And so I wanted to do this Mondays with Muffy because I was like, I just need something to perk up my own life right now. And so I'm gonna do it. I'm just going to do this thing. So every Monday, or as long as I can, should I say, because like I said, I have a lot going on in my personal life right now. But every Monday, I'm coming on here and I'm talking to y'all for like an hour and a half, and we're gonna kiki. We're gonna talk about some things. I would love to have you join me on screen. That's why I put that link up there. I'm gonna put it up there again. I would love to have you join me. You can come on to that link. Let me put it in the comments too. And you can join me on here and we can talk about just about a little bit of everything. What we did this weekend, what's on reality TV, what's in the news. I have an excellent show. So let me give y'all a little bit of background. Before I started Brown Mamas, this is what I used to do. I was in media. Like, I worked as a reporter, I've worked in broadcast, I've worked in print journalism, and I've always wanted to just have a talk show. And so I was like, I'm going to make my own talk show, and maybe somebody will pick it up. Maybe they won't. Maybe we will just be talking on YouTube and Facebook Live for the rest of my life, and I'll be okay with it because it's what I love to do. So that's what we're going to do. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm really excited to talk with y'all this morning. So I have an excellent show. Like, I pulled this together like in 7 days. Um, and I'm really proud of myself. But we have an excellent show ahead of us. We are going to be I reached out to a sister who I had met when I was in Aruba, who cooked for me. And I was like, you know what? I want this sister on my show for my first episode, because not only did she cook and teach me and my husband how to make roti, because my husband is Trini, but come to find out, all Trini people do not know how to make roti. It's like a specialty thing. Like, you got to call the roti lady, and the roti lady got to come to your house, and there might only be 5 roti ladies in your neighborhood. So we went to Aruba, me and my husband, and I was like, I want to gift my husband how to make roti. So I found somebody in Aruba, a Jamaican sister that happened to be living there. And I was like, can you teach my husband how to make roti? And she was like, absolutely. I do cooking classes, everything. Here's the link. Booked the cooking class, went to this sister's house in Aruba. Again, I don't know these people. I don't know this country. Went to this sister's house. She taught my husband how to make roti, and just had the most amazing conversation with her about motherhood, about entrepreneurship, because this woman is a world traveling chef. Like, she travels all over the world. She was telling me about her world travels, and I was like, yo, you have such an interesting story. So let me see what time she's going to be joining us at. she's going to be for our In the Deep session. So this segment is going to be called In the Deep because y'all know I love to talk about deep stuff with peoples. And this lady is also a very highly spiritual woman, which I love. But she's going to be coming on around 8:45 a.m. We're going to be talking to Kari Henson, who is a world-renowned chef. I say she's a Jamaican chef because her roots are in Jamaica, but this sister has been chefing everywhere, all over the world. And we're also going to be talking about the Brooklyn Bridge collapse. Not Brooklyn, excuse me, y'all. Let me fix that because my husband's from Brooklyn, not the Brooklyn Bridge, the Baltimore Bridge collapse with Chris Hughes, who is Chris is in Detroit now, but he is an architect who used to live in Pittsburgh, and we're just gonna be talking to him about some of those things because I was like, we got to talk about the news, we got to talk about a little bit of everything. So yeah, that's the show. But first, we're going to just chat about our weekends. Like, how was y'all's resurrection weekend? Because I have a story. I have a story about resurrection weekend. So yesterday, of course, I cooked all the things. I made lamb, I made potato salad, and my potato salad was bumping. Like it was literally like this is my new meal that I'm taking to all family functions. But before that, I was an overbearing mom this weekend. Not that I regret it, because I don't. Like, I just don't regret being an overbearing mom. So let me tell you what happened. So basically, my son has had a friend that he's had since middle school. You know, I homeschooled my kids all the way till middle school, then they went to school. And my son has a best friend that he loves from middle school. And so they've been friends for a while, but they've never really spent the night over at houses. So I'm a parent who does not do like spend the nights. Like I've never done spend the nights with my kids. Tell me in the comments if you do spend the nights with your kids. I've never done it. My whole thing was I don't see what needs to be done overnight. Like I don't understand why kids need to be at somebody else's house overnight. You can stay as late as you want, and then I'm gonna get in my RAV4 and I'm gonna drive cross town and I'm coming to get you. That's always been my thing. Like I want my kids in my house at night. I feel like safe when my kids are at my house at night. And now that I have a 22-year-old and he don't be home sometimes he stays with his girlfriend. I'm like, I just want my kids at home as long as I can have them. So I've never done, I ain't never do overnights with my kids. So sis reaches out. And I know sis, like we've taken the kids to the pool before. We've taken the kids to Dave and Buster's. Like our families have spent time together. But she was like, I want to take the boys to a concert, but it's overnight. So somebody said, I don't know who says, my parents didn't allow us to spend the night at anyone's house besides grandma. Me too. Like that's the way I was raised. We did not do spend the nights. And so I was like, all right, cool. She reached out to me. She's like, I want to take the boys to a concert, but it's overnight. We have to go to Ohio. So at first I was like, yes, this is going to be so fun for him. Like he's never done that before. So I want to give him the chance to do that. But then when I got off the phone with sis, I was like, no. I was like, no, I cannot, I shall not, I will not. Like this is not going to work for me. And the more I thought about it, then I talked to my husband about it, and he was like, nah, like, didn't we decide early on that wasn't something we was going to do? And so I was just like, yeah, listen, because the first thing I thought, whoever said this, is hard out here to trust people with our precious cargoes. Because I kept thinking, I got a Mercedes Benz upstairs. I don't want to park it in nobody's Dodge garage. One of my girlfriends told me that as a colleague, and I will never forget it. She said she was trying to look for daycares for her son. And she said, this is where her exact words. She said, I have a Mercedes Benz and I'm not parking my Mercedes Benz in nobody's Dodge garage. And whenever I think about sending my kids to other people's places, that's what I think about. Like, do you have a Mercedes Benz garage? Or do you have a Dodge garage? And if I'm not sure, I can't give you my Mercedes for a go around because I don't know if you're going to abuse it or not. And so, not to say this, because this sister, I will say, we spend a lot of time together, and I love her family and I love her kids and everything like that. So, like I said, this was me being overbearing mom. This has no reflection on sis. And so, I was like, I don't know if I can do that. So, I'm just going to tell y'all what y'all did, and feel free to judge me because I don't care. Like I don't care about being judged. So I went. I didn't go to the concert. I allowed them to spend time together, but I just went and stayed in a hotel. Me and the whole family did. We just went and stayed in a hotel in Ohio that was 5 minutes away. Because my thing is, if anything happens, he needs to be able to call me, and I need to be able to be there in the same amount of time it would take me to get from their house to my house in Pittsburgh is the same amount of response time I need to have if you're in Ohio. If you call me in Ohio and I'm in Pittsburgh, I have to how am I can it's going to take me 3 hours to get there. So I said I would feel most comfortable if I go there. So that's what I did. I spent Friday and Saturday in Columbus waiting at the hotel in case a call came in. So yeah, I said I was going to share that with y'all because I was like, somebody's going to be able to relate. Everybody, listen, thank you, Brittany. Brittany says, I approve of that decision. Everybody will not be able to relate, but I know that some people will. Look, I got people in the comments supporting me. Yes, I love what you did. You made the best decision. I know that's right. Listen, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep. It is what it is. Like, I'm going to be up all night waiting for a call that I have to then drive 3 hours for. So I'd rather I was like, we're going to make a day of it. We're going to go up there. We're going to have dinner in the morning. We can do some activities if y'all want. We met them for breakfast. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I don't know who's cracking up at me, but yes, I did. I spent my weekend, and there were things I wanted to do this weekend, but I was like, no, you're going to Ohio. That's what you're doing on Friday and Saturday. So I arrived safely back here at 5 o'clock on Saturday, went to go get my Easter dinner and proceeded to get ready for Easter. So that was my weekend. Like, that was what I did this weekend. So how did he feel about that? He was actually fine with it. Like, once I explained it to him, he was like, all right, I get it. As long as you don't like interrupt my time. And I didn't. Like, I let them, they had a good time. Now, sis, and I love his friend's mom because she sent me pictures the whole time. Like, she knew I was nervous about it. She sent me pictures at the concert. She sent me pictures when they got to the hotel room. She was like, I was going to send you some pictures of him sleeping in the bed. I was like, you didn't have to go that far, sis. Like, you didn't have to be taking stalker pictures of while he's sleeping. But listen, I had to do what I had to do for me, and I appreciate, sis, if you are listening. I'm not putting your name out there, but if you are listening, thank you for dealing with this overbearing mama bear, because listen, these are my babies. Like I said, these is my Mercedes Benz, and I have to ensure that they are parked in Mercedes Benz garages at all times. So yeah, it was what it was. It is what it is. Like, I did the best that I could do and still allow him to have some freedom. So thank y'all for supporting me in the comments, and for those of y'all that are now judging me, mind your business. Okay, mind all of your business. It's my business. So yeah, that's what I did this weekend. What did y'all do this weekend? I would love to know in the comments, or you can. I'm gonna put the link back up here if you want to join me on the chat. Would love to have some of y'all come on, click that link. So you go to HTTP, you can just go to streamyard.com/CUIRIUDHVR. I'm gonna put it in the comments for y'all too. Let me make sure I can do that, because some of y'all are on YouTube and some of y'all are on Facebook. So I'm gonna try to go on both. Here, let me see. And put it in the comments. So yeah, so that's what I did this weekend. I really enjoyed my weekend. My family came for the holidays. My sister came, my mom came, and we just had a good kiki. My family I have a pretty big family. So even when I say it's me, my sister, and my mom, that's about 15 people. So, so I have a pretty big family. Everybody in my family got kids, as most of y'all probably do. You probably got kids on kids on kids. I gotta plug my thing in because I forgot before I got on here. Plug the laptop in, and I don't want to lose y'all. So yeah, so that's what we did this weekend. We had kids on kids on kids and grown-ups, and we had a really good time this weekend. So oh yeah, let me put this. So I'm putting the link in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. So let me go find y'all real quick. I got to go to the places, and I got to there it is. There it is. Join me for live conversation. Oh, and I forgot to mention to y'all that At 9 o'clock, I am going to, okay, we're going to delete that comment. It was a comment on there from an old one that I did before. So, at 9 o'clock, if you got something going on. So one of the things I want to do is I want to bring back roll call, because remember back in the day. So if you ain't from Pittsburgh, but I know I'm pretty sure all cities had roll call. Remember back in the day when you used to be able to call on the road and you did like a little rap and you said who you are, da da da, whatever. Maybe you might win some tickets that day. Maybe you might not. But so what I'm going to do is at 9 o'clock a.m., if you join me at that link, I will give you a few minutes on here to tell the world about your thing. So whatever your thing is, if you are a entrepreneur and you have an event coming up, if you're a nonprofit leader and you have something coming up, click the link. Or go to the link and then you can come on and you can talk about your thing for a few seconds. All right, cool. So moving on to what's next. So in all honesty, one of the reasons why I want to do this whole thing is because I need an outlet to talk about reality TV. I'm the only girl in my house, so nobody else is watching this. Well, sometimes these husbands, um, be loving reality TV. They just don't want to admit it. But my husband is not one of those ones. I mean, he'll sit and kiki with me for a minute, but then he's back to the game. So sometimes I just be needing somewhere to talk about them. And this is going to be my outlet to talk about them. So I watched The Real Housewives. So tell me in the comments if you watch Real Housewives still. Some of y'all say it's outdated. Look, for me, Real Housewives is the best palate cleanser ever. Like, it's the best palate cleanser ever. I absolutely love it. It is my way to just after I have a long day or a long week or just I've had enough inside of my mind. Reality TV is my place where I go to just not reality TV, just The Real Housewives, because I don't watch any of it. Just The Real Housewives. It is my place where I go to just completely numb out. I just numb my whole life and I just go and watch it, and there's nothing. Like afterwards, there's nothing left. All of the double thoughts are gone, all the worrying is gone, there's nothing left afterwards. And so yesterday night, I had to tune in to The Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. 90 Day Fiance. I don't watch. Shatia, I've never watched 90 Day Fiance, but I've heard people talk about watching it. But mine's is Real Housewives. So yesterday I watched The Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. And I don't know if y'all, Essence did a whole article about it this year because it got so crazy over there. I mean, it would Miss Mika and Rachel. I don't have time to watch the kind of shows. I'm too busy watching Miss Mika and Rachel. Who is Miss Mika and Rachel? You're gonna have to tell me more about that. I don't know who that is. Are they on TikTok or something? But Essence did a whole article about Real Housewives of Potomac this year because it got so out of control because the colorism is blinding. And I just don't understand how the light-skinned chicks on the show. And listen, I'm light-skinned, okay? This is all light-skinned over here. But that Potomac is a mess. It is a mess because I'm just like, how do you not see that you are treating people differently according to their skin color? It does not make sense. So basically, long story short, there's a few beige sisters. They're not beige. They light skin. There's a few fully black. These women are fully black women. These are not, well, I don't know, because Darby's Barbie might be mixed race. I think Darby's Barbie is mixed race. But Giselle, no, and then also Robin is mixed race too. But these are women who proclaim to be black women. And what I don't understand is how you can watch yourself on a show repeatedly, year after year, giving preferential treatment to the lighter skinned people on the show and not be like, yo, I need to check myself. Because it's very clear, like from an outside looking in, and it could be, look, I always understand that it could be, no, she is not white. Well, I wish I could. I don't know if y'all watch Kim Power, but Kim Power calls her regular Robin. And that's what I call her too. Regular Robin is not white. She is a black woman. She has a black mother. She is a black woman. or a black father. There's somebody black. And so, but basically one of the things, there were two things that happened that just get underneath my skin. The one thing that happened is that uh Giselle did everything except accuse and one of the dark skinned sisters on the show's Candace's husband of sexual assault. She did everything except that. She said that she said that he took her into a room, closed the door, and talked inappropriately to her. Meanwhile, the footage rolled back. Sis backtracked the whole statement and then got mad at the dark skinned sister because she was pissed because she said, "Why would you say that about my husband?" I don't know about y'all, but if you insinuate that my husband took you into a room and then asked you questions that you felt were inappropriate, and then it comes out that he did nothing of the sort, I'm going to be a little upset. I'm probably going to call you some names. I'm probably not going to want to be around you. So that was just one of the situations. The second situation is that sis basically, on the other hand, there was a sister who had gotten a drink thrown in her face. Now, this sister happened to be a dark skinned woman and happened to also not do anything to like instigate this happening. And then there was another sister a couple of seasons before, two sisters had gotten in a fight. Both of these sisters were dark skinned sisters. And Giselle basically advocated for that woman to get kicked off of the show. But then with this other girl that had got a drink thrown in her face, Giselle was like, that was okay. And it was just a double standard. And I did not appreciate that. I did not appreciate the double standard at all, because I feel like, why would you continually, if being valid against one person is bad, then it's against another person. You can't say it's less because it was this person that you happen to not like. And so it's just, I feel like Candace, what she said on the show, she said the line keeps moving. I am not appreciative of the fact that the line keeps moving. It's like, it's okay for it to happen if it happens to one of the darker skinned women on the show. But if it happens to one of the lighter skinned women, we've got questions. We've got to now constantly be like, well, did she actually do it? Did she actually was she actually wrong for this? And I'm like, no, she's absolutely wrong. She's absolutely wrong. There are no questions. This is clearly an act of colorism. And I feel like sometimes with colorism, the hard thing about it is that if you it's a pattern. Like, it can be a pattern in your life that you don't necessarily see. But I think one of the greatest gifts of reality TV is the fact that you get to essentially see yourself for years and years and years. And at the very least, what you must be able to do, let me tell her something. What you must be able to do at the very least is you must be able to say to yourself, I see myself. And because I see myself, I may have been offended in the moment because I wasn't able to see myself. But now that I see myself, allow me to take accountability for my actions. Because at the end of the day, being accountable for your actions does not say that the other person does anything. They don't have to be accountable. They don't have to to apologize. They don't have to do anything. But at the very least, you can say to yourself, let me be accountable for my actions. And yes, who said that? Unconscious bias is real. It happens at every level. I think it absolutely happens at every level. But I think you have to give yourself the ability to just be like, yo, let me check myself. Even if I don't think I'm wrong, let me take a few moments to like check and see where I was wrong. Because my mom raised me that any situation you get yourself into, you played a part in it in some way, shape, or form. Even if the only way you played a part in it was like, I let it happen. But then you also have to accept and say to yourself, like, why did I let it happen? Like, what happened in my life that made it so that it was okay for me to let this happen? And I think all too often we get so stuck up on like not wanting to take the blame for a situation that we don't just be like, listen, I'm accountable in some way, shape, or form. Let me take accountability for that and let me figure that part out before I go and start blaming other folks, before I go and try to hide the hand. Because I think that happens a lot in reality TV. And I think, they plan that, of course. They absolutely be like, this is just this is just what I'm going to how I'm going to present myself in this moment. Um for reality TV for entertainment sake. But at the end of the day, it's like she's doing I feel like the light skinned women, here's the link. I feel like the light skinned women on the show do themselves more of a disservice when they don't take ability accountability for their actions. And I feel like all the people, I mean, again, we know that it's absolutely for entertainment purposes, right? We know that for entertainment purposes, these people tend to act like buttheads. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not going to ruin my reputation over somebody else. I am going to figure out a way for me to resolve my issues so that I can move beyond this situation. And I feel like colorism is clearly the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, that they don't want to address. And so that's my thing about reality TV, like right now with that Real Housewives of Potomac. And I'm gonna keep watching. It's in reunion mode right now. So considering that we are in reunion mode, I'm gonna be watching all the reunions. And every Monday I will be I know. In real life, accountability is so difficult for everybody in real life. It is difficult in real life. And you know why accountability is difficult in real life? Because accountability happens in quiet places. It doesn't necessarily happen in loud places. You have to actually go inside to yourself and admit things to yourself that you don't like about yourself. And then you have to show up differently in real life. So, yeah, it's hard in real life. So, I'm sure it's hard in fake life too. All right, so y'all, we have our guest for the next 15 minutes coming in to Sphere. So I told y'all I wanted to talk. I'm going to do a little bit of everything on these Mondays with Muffy shows. And one of the things I want to do absolutely is talk about the news a little bit. Because, well, look, I'm just going to share this with y'all in real life because I have to be real because that's just who I am. I've worked in news media, but I did not used to like to cover news media. I would like to cover the pop culture stuff. But I said I'm going to get out of that because I really want to educate folks, but I just don't want to do the education because I'm not necessarily the person that should be doing the education. So I'm going to bring people on my show to talk about things that are important to our community when it comes to a news political perspective. So let's bring Mr. Christian Hughes to the stage. What's up, Chris? Thank you.
What's up? Hey, Muff, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm glad to hear it. So I reached out to Chris in the 12th hour, and I was like, I got to talk about some news on Mondays with Muffy, and I want to talk about the Baltimore Bridge collapse because that was something that recently happened. And also because, well, Chris is from Pittsburgh, so he knows Pittsburgh has a lot of bridges. And we also have a lot of bridges that need repair. Not to say that that was a part of the Baltimore Bridge situation. We know that there were some other extenuating circumstances that led to the collapse of that bridge. But I think as people who live in a city that is essentially connected by bridges, like oftentimes we cannot go from neighborhood to neighborhood by bridges. I was like, this would be something good to talk about. So, Chris, first tell us a little bit about you and your background, like the work you do. Can you hear me, Chris? It looked like he might be a little stuck. Let me remove him and then add him back. Chris, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think I'm having a little connectivity issue, so I'm gonna move to a closer
Okay.
spot or a better spot. Actually, maybe
Okay.
if I move out the basement, that might work. But a little bit about me. I am a Detroit native, originally. Okay, am I back?
Yes, I can hear you good now. Yep, perfect. I can see you. Are you talking? Can you hear me, Chris? Can you hear me, Chris?
Okay.
Okay. I can hear you now.
Which is an urban design fellowship. Okay. Yes. 2014 Hampton University graduate, and came to Pittsburgh in 2014 through Carnegie Mellon, Urban Design Regional Employment Act. I was working full time for Michael Becker International, and is an 85-year-old engineering firm. So interestingly enough, bridges that were constructed in Pittsburgh in the early and mid centuries of the 20th century. Um, Over these last, I should say, I have done everything from residential architecture to commercial architecture, industrial, as well as some work with the government, specifically Army and facilities work. And that work has kind of completely broadened my purview of how structures are built, how engineering works. But getting that kind of, even though I worked for Michael Becker for 1 year, because I was then subsequently laid off, that year was so strong about just learning about the engineering and how Pittsburgh is engineered. And then, and my now will be 10 years in Pittsburgh, working in. So that
Chris,
has
your audio just keeps
me,
cutting out.
That has been my experience.
Chris, can you hear me?
Outside of my professional world.
Chris, can you hear me? Because your audio just keeps cutting out. Like it's not, it ain't coming in. It's like every other word we can get. Okay, Chris, I'm going to put you back in the green room because it's not like I can't hear you. And we'll try it again in a moment. So one of the things I wanted to bring attention to y'all is because we know that the Baltimore Bridge collapse was caused by basically a boat that ran into the bridge, and it ran into one of its beams, or one of it, not beams, but the thing that holds it up. And so that's what caused it. But it definitely prompted me, I don't know if y'all did this, but in the wake of learning about that, it prompted me to want to go and figure out what Pittsburgh bridges are in danger, because we all know that the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed a few years back. And that definitely had a big impact on the community. It had a big impact on transportation, of course, and all those things. But it also just made us all think differently about what else is happening in our communities in terms of the bridges, and are the bridges being maintained? How can we support those efforts? Can we support those efforts at all? And how is infrastructure being funded in our communities? And it made me just want to know more and to look at more. And so what I was able to find, let me see if I can find it because I emailed it to myself. What I was able to find was a article in the Post-Gazette that was talking about all of the bridges in Pittsburgh that need to be repaired. And even though our current mayor is doing a lot to basically fund these bridges, our bridges are in such deplorable conditions in many cases that they need millions and millions and millions of dollars. So, like Chris was saying, a lot of our bridges, of course, are very, very old. They were built when the city was essentially in its very beginnings. And because of that, a lot of our bridges are just in need of repair. So I'm trying to find this image that I'd had of it has a list that I got from the Post Gazette of all the bridges that need to be repaired in the city. All right, let me see. This is the first episode, y'all, so don't judge me. Like, give me time. Be patient with me because everything is brand new. Just like it's brand new for you, it's brand new for me. All right. And I have our other guest is in actually in the green room right now waiting for us, but I want to finish out this segment before I get to our other guest. And I'm sorry, Chris. I wish we could get you back in, but it's not like giving me like I can't hear you, bro. I could not hear you. All right. All right. Let's see if it comes through now. Well, it didn't. So we'll try that again next time, y'all. We will try again next time on that part. It just didn't work this time because we couldn't hear Chris, and because I can't get the image that I wanted to have up. I can't get it up to show y'all. So we'll try that again next time. It might be a sign. I don't know. We're going to talk about intuition a little bit at the end, and we're also going to talk about it happens. Thank you, Brittany. Remind everybody it happens. And I'm a person who doesn't give up easily. So that part did not go well, but that's okay. Let's say bye to Chris. I'm going to bring him up so we can at least say bye to him. Thank you, Chris. We
No problem.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Have
See
a
you
good
later.
day. Take care
Yep.
of yourself and the baby and the mama.
Will do. Looking forward to doing this again.
We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Yes. All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Peace. All right. Hey, Kari, we are ready for our next guest. I didn't bring her up yet. So I told y'all I'm really excited to talk to this woman because this is a woman. This is a woman. This woman is a world traveler. She is a mama. She is an entrepreneur and a coach. This woman has brought life to many because this is the thing. We just got done with Resurrection Sunday. So y'all all know. Yesterday, your families gathered and y'all did what together? Y'all got in that kitchen. Y'all cooked. Y'all kikied. The men was watching the sports. The kids was running around. And that makes everybody, it's like when we bring food into the mix with our family, something very magical happens. Look, they said they love your glasses. They love your glasses, Kari.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Mondays with Muffy on the Brown Mamas Network. Tell us about Kari. We want to know all about you, sis. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Number one, I just want to reassure you because broadcasting is what it is. And once you have technical stuff, you're going to have technical difficulties. So don't worry about it. Even seasoned producers with teams broadcasting nationally, internationally have issues. I remember one time, 20 odd years ago, we were doing the International Association. Was it the IWAF Kingston 2020? And it was broadcast from Kingston, Jamaica, where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And the day we were going live, the entire intercom system went down. There was no way for the producers to talk to the cameramen in the field. And I was 19 years old. And guess who was the intercom running to 22 cameras across
Wow.
the stage? Yeah. So just to reassure you, don't feel any way about it. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I am Kari. I'm originally from Jamaica, and I am here in Aruba for the time. I've lived in 5 countries in 2 hemispheres, done business in 6. And the premise of everything I do, I consider myself a polymath in that I'm talented in many ways. And, people used to think that was a strange thing. But I realized something in my 20s. I realized that I couldn't I wasn't fulfilled doing one thing. And
Mm.
so I gave myself permission. The term just came to me, and it was cook on all 6 burners.
Mm.
And when I did that, then a lot of things opened up to me. And I realized that I was created the exact way that I have been created in order to live the life that has been laid before me. Because had I not been able to be willing to transform and to mold into different things in different seasons, in different places, in different
Right.
economies, in different markets, then I would not have been able to show up the way that I've been able to. And so that transformation that happens is just absolutely fantastic. So I say that to say that I feed people, I
Mhm.
free people, and I do that essentially by helping you to build healthier and wealthier relationships. I believe that the foundation of real wealth is relationship, and not transactional relationships, but really quality relationships, understanding each other, building the strengths, understanding, making room for each other, opening doors for each other, be, participating and giving abundance to each other, not being restricted. All of these things come through relationships. I help people to build healthier and relationships by feeding your body, your soul, your spirit, and your pocket. So it's a holistic approach to
Mhm.
wealth in very tangible means, including experiences, including media, including coaching.
I was on your YouTube channel the other day listening to some of your videos, and you are very inspirational. Like, so I will tell you that just even doing this today was like it was something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but you have to get up the courage to do things. And sometimes God puts something in your spirit and it takes a little while to flower and to grow. And when I'm listening to you, I don't know why the word season just keeps coming to me, because it's like you season your food, but you're also a person that understands the seasons of your life. Like I can tell that you are a person who, like, my dad says all the time, he says, you have to know when to ramp up the fire on something and when to like simmer it. And you seem to be a person that kind of knows that almost intrinsically. How has understanding the seasons of your life played a role in like all of the many ways that you've allowed yourself to express yourself?
That's such a really good introspection on your part. And I never thought of it that way in terms of the seasoning and the seasons.
Mm,
But I am also an ordained prophet, and I was
mm,
ordained last year in December. But this has come, I mean, it's not it's the office, it's not a gifting, it's something that I was born into. It's an innate gift that I was born into, and I've grown into it more so as I've yielded myself in my faith. And I've not always been one to act on time. But I always knew some things, and I knew that I knew some things, and I didn't know always why I knew certain things. But I've also learned as I've gotten older to pay attention and to be a little bit more obedient to the leading of the Holy Spirit, because ultimately we can see and we can prophesy in part, but he knows the whole. And so I don't have to have like full understanding of everything to be able to just to walk into certain places. And when I do that, I find that miracles happen because it creates a space for him to move, because we're not being in control. We're not trying to hold on and to grapple on everything. So he is my seasons, and I do believe in walking in synchronicity with him. He lights my way and leads my path.
I love that. And I love that you're just so, I think a lot of times when we are looking to do a new thing, whatever that new thing is, we get so stuck in everything that the world is saying and all the expectations that others have of us in terms of how that thing is supposed to look, that we don't take the leaps that God has given us permission to take. And so what I really appreciate about your journey is how multifaceted it has been, and how you've really just allowed yourself to exist in spaces and places where you felt like, and where really you felt like God is lighting a path for you. So I wanted to ask you, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of mompreneurs are always thinking about, taking the next step in their lives and doing something big. How did you get the courage to do big things? Because you grew up in Jamaica, and one thing I'm becoming very aware of is that outside of the United States, like, folks are global citizens. They be out. We're the only ones who be like in our country and spend our whole lives in our country. outside of the United States, you meet people, they didn't travel the whole globe. But how did you get the courage to, you said you're from Kingston, Jamaica. How did you get the courage to think outside of Kingston, Jamaica and to just actually do big things?
Well, I had started out in media when I was 16 years old as a national TV. I was trained as a presenter and as a producer, as doing the weather on national TV at 19.
Wow.
Producing my first show it was a children's show when I was 19 years old. By 20, maybe 22 or so, I was teaching voice and speech for radio, television, and platform. And one of the students in my class, I was assistant to the main lecturer at the time. And one of the students in my class was my grade 1 teacher. So I had accomplished quite a bit in terms of what I felt like wanted to do very early on. By 27, I was president of the International Association of Business Communicators for 14 countries in the Caribbean, headquartered in Jamaica, and I was 27 years old. So a few things happened. The place got too small for me. And it really started out with relationships. I felt like one relationship that was something that I had my heart centered on, wasn't working. And I was like, oh, this place is too small for all of us. So I need to get out of here. And that's the thing. When you find yourself as a big fish in a small pond, and I released a video on that recently. When you are a big fish in a small pond, there is no space to grow. So you have to actually give yourself permission not to compete, not to small up yourself to make others more, okay with you, but to literally take yourself into another pond, and a bigger pond, even one where you are so uncomfortable because you are just a needle in a haystack. But that's the only way to grow. And it is challenging. It takes the level of grit that is unimaginable. And probably that is also why I found deeper faith in the process. I've had to go inward and upward in order to find grounding, because I haven't had the luxury of having established relationships like my parents around, my besties around, and all of those things. I've had to do life in very difficult situations, and I've had to go through some serious traumatic situations, including a marriage that was really, really challenging, and a divorce that was even worse. Right. So all of these things really just help to build you, but the main thing is being able not to it's how you really tackle the big is by embracing the small.
I gotta sit with that,
because we often think that entering into new spaces requires grandiosity. We want the team, we want the this, we want the that, we want all of the things to look right, to sound right, to be right. But the small beginnings are where the genius starts. And if we do not despise small beginnings, then what will happen is that in the process of showing up, lowering the entry bar, lowering the procrastination, lowering the perfectionism that makes us want to be grand.
Right.
Then we end up just starting. And starting is the most important part of the momentum process, because at least you have something to improve upon, as opposed to you're still stuck at not moving. So we remain stuck simply because we just don't want to move, because we think that the move that we want to do is sometimes it's what we can do is smaller than what we want to do. So we stay until the time's right, and things align, until whatever. No, go when you need to go, move when you need to move. And as you move, Abraham believed God. He stepped out on the first step, didn't know where he was going. It was credited to him as righteousness. So you're literally in the process, you will find that all of the wonderful things happen, because the process is what's going to really process you. It's going to really transform you into what you need to have for the big grand thing. Do not despise small. I said Jamaican flag that says do not despise small beginnings right there.
Girl, listen, you are speaking my language right now. I had the luxury of the privilege, and I do believe that I earned it to a degree, of being in the Facebook Accelerator program 2 years ago in 2021. And my Facebook mentor, that was what she told me. She said, you are a big fish in a small pond, and you are going to have to get out of there to grow. And it's taken me a while to really accept that is the issue. But I'm also really resonating with this thing you're talking about faith and growth, and how when you grow, it's like you have to jump, but you don't always know where you're going to land. Like, you don't know what relationships may be there at once you make the jump. You don't know what status is awaiting you. You may have to enter into a lower status. You may have to get a mentor to teach you some new things. And I think, especially for moms, which we're going to talk about next, especially for moms who oftentimes, especially in the Black community, moms are oftentimes unsupported. And so you're trying to make a leap at the same time as having so much on your back. And so it's like you're jumping with a book bag full of books. And it can just feel like a daunting experience. But I know from my experiences that the times where I've actually taken the leap of faith and just did the thing, it almost always paid off. But that did not make the jump any easier.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't get easier just because because it it will get better later doesn't make the jump easier in the first place. So I really appreciate that recognition, especially knowing that oftentimes as women, and especially as Black women, the first time we experience like economic security, relationship security, status security, and then being asked to jump out of that situation, listen, it'd be scary.
I feel like we're in church.
Listen, it'd be scary.
You're preaching.
So I wanted to talk to you about being a mom, because one of the things that I was amazed at when I met you was your son. Like, he's just so, there is a quiet confidence that this young man has, that I loved. And I was like, you can tell she is a good mom. Like, you meet somebody's kid and you're like, oh, there was a lot put in there. There's a lot invested there. And so I wanted to ask you, how do you maintain the integrity of your mothering journey, even as an entrepreneur?
One of the things that's like the deepest, so I don't even call it a compliment. I call it encouragement that you could ever speak. Because I do see mothering as a calling, and it is a premium calling to which I've been called. What as hard as it gets, and we identify wholeheartedly that it gets hard. There is something to be said about being given the honor and the privilege of nurturing an entire human being and giving these little ones the foundation that they need to drive success in their own lives, to be everything that they were created to be. That's a tall order, and it's a privilege that not many people have. So I don't take it lightly. And I also have experience. I always had him as a priority in entrepreneurship. And so I actually created my entire work life from he was born centered around him. I worked for 3 months out of the home in his entire 10-year life. And that did not go well for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I worked at that time. When I did that, I had somebody in the home full time. It was a lot easier in Dubai at the time. So it's a lot easier to get in-home help. But in the Caribbean, we believe in having in-home help. It's just a way for us to really balance life. The Caribbean, Africa, the Middle East, Asia, think about the household a lot differently from like America and Canada. Even the Latin American region as well. We tend to believe a lot in household help, domestic help, as part, and it's not necessarily something that is relegated only to the rich.
Right.
It is just an essential part of creating a balanced home life. And so I crafted my work to be home based. And so I had to create ways where I would always be accessible to him because my ex-husband was an executive chef. And so he didn't have the bandwidth to have the flexibility to do stuff. So I always had to be the point person. And even while I was home based, I had somebody in the house, especially after the first year, so that that person could deal with other things and also the household stuff, but also watch him while I had to do some work. And I created this way when he was very young. I taught him from when he was about one plus to say attention. And so he would come to me when he wanted attention. He would say, "Mama, attention." And that was the code word. He was able to express his need to see me and his need for me. And I was able to understand, okay, drop everything and turn to him, because I can be really focused on one thing and then not be able to just kind of switch sometimes. And so it just doing that, just having him as a priority. I know that everybody does not get the privilege to do that, but I also feel that because of my creative approach to life, I always look at what I have, what I want, and how can I, rather than say, you know, figure out that it's not possible. I always ask how. So one of the most powerful questions is to ask how. And so I've done that in my career. How can I create a career that allows me to have my child forefront and center? And now I'm living in a foreign country alone with him. So it's even more important that I'm home based. And so, even the cooking classes that you came where before, that was an outgrowth of my food and lifestyle writing and photography that I've been doing for 15 years. I've been published in magazines. I've been featured on Top Chef Middle East as a guest judge. BBC Good Food awarded best food blog and in the Middle East, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So all of it was based on food and lifestyle and, really bringing up people in that core way. But I also recognize that even in creating this food experience in my home, it was a great opportunity for him, even though he's in a foreign country with me by ourselves, we would be able to attract the right people who would be able to come and give him the most interesting dinner time conversations. And so he's privileged to meet people like you and your husband and, like from all over the world with really diverse experiences and have these conversations. And I think that is just gold. And so I do all of these things in with him in mind, and he also gives me his feedback because I talk a lot to him. I ask him his opinions and stuff like that, and he says, "Oh no, I like the class on a Friday night because then I get to talk to the people, and I actually like talking to the people at dinner time." And when he doesn't want to, he goes in his room like every other kid and picks up a device or picks up his Lego.
I love it. I absolutely. It's like there is a connection that I think folks outside of the US have with community that is more trustworthy, that is also more like just viewing the world as like an extended family.
You are right. And I want to interject right here because you are absolutely right. I would never do what I'm doing here in the States. Even with me and whatever, I wouldn't do it in the States. There's just something about me being in an island like Aruba and whatever. And I'm a praying woman as well. So I pray all people who don't want, who can't come, need not to come. If God knows send you can't come through my threshold.
Right, right.
Because the home is sacred for us of African ancestry. The home is sacred because we don't want all the mix up in our yard because our house is personal and very an intimate space. And we know that some people don't have good intentions, no, mom. So we keep those things at bay. We will entertain with you out far for lunch all night, but not in the home. So yes, there is something about being here, and it's just like on our terms, on our turf. It's like my territory that I would do it. I wouldn't do it in the States. Correct about that.
That's so interesting. And I think it has a lot to do with just the breakdown of the family in the United States. I actually heard the Mexican president talking about it a couple of weeks ago on 60 Minutes. He talked about how even though Mexico has a huge drug trafficking problem, they don't have a huge drug usage problem. And it has a lot to do with the fact that their families are still intact. Like there are still expectations when you are a part of a family. There's an element of trust that is extended to you to go out into the community and be who your family has raised you to be. That still exists. And so That's why when I love to travel, and whenever I travel, that's one of the things that I always want to do. Like I want to see how women are mothering. And it's the most interesting thing. Like even when me and my husband were in Brazil years ago, and we were walking in the marketplace, and like a woman offered to feed us. She was like, "Don't eat there. Come to my home. I'll cook for you." And it's just like, I don't know what her intentions were, but I choose to believe, because this was an older woman, I choose to believe she had good intentions, because that's not the first time we've encountered that in our travels. It's like people offering to cook for us, people wanting to give us things, just people asking like very genuine questions about our lives, and then being able to engage in discussion with people about how we do different things in the United States versus in their country. And I just feel like there is, and I talked about that earlier in the show about this weekend having wanting my son going to stay somewhere for the weekend, and I just did not feel comfortable with it because I'm not comfortable in the US. Just let's keep it at 100. As a Black woman, there is a level of comfortability in the United States that I just do not have. And I don't know that I'll ever have it here, because being a mother, a Black mother in the United States, is worth very little. It has very little value to say that. Like, especially when you know that, as you know, in the African diaspora, the word queen and the word mother go hand in hand. It's queen mother. We understand that to be a mother is to be a matriarch, to be a shepherd in a certain extent. In the United States, it just doesn't have that same pull. When you say that you're somebody's mother, there's not a great respect. There's even the thing going on right now where a lot of people are telling their daughters don't have children, and it's like, well, being a mother is the greatest gift you could ever give to someone. It's really interesting. This is a lot of what you said is sitting heavy with me, in the reminder that, I love my country, I love my community, I love the city where I live, but there's a lot of work to be done. And especially if we want to have a thriving female entrepreneurial, space.
That sounds very interesting to me. And because, I feel like we just have to, one of the things that I've noticed is, especially in the Black American context, and I'm an outsider, so I speak with love and grace, and I speak with respect. Um, I feel like we have to not find a way, even in the midst of what is extremely difficult, to create our own systems. You tapped on it just a
Mhm.
while ago, to create a new reality of something that's different, because we are queens and we are mothers, and that's who we are. We have always nurtured, and I mean, Black women in America have nurtured all of the presidents. They've
Right,
actually breastfed them. They've nurtured them. I mean, whether they were in the home, even, but or history is exists long before slavery. Our history is so rich and so wonderful. You go to Africa, you see all the different expressions of the diaspora all over the world. There's something that is really very sacred and very, very wonderful about the cultural, spiritual inheritance that we have. And so we can't give people permission to redefine us.
right,
We can't
right,
give people permission to say that, oh, this is the boundary that you are confined in. It says who? We have to create our own. So like what I love about like microcosms, like I was talking to a friend of mine who's studying for her PhD in psychology, clinical psychology. And we had a discussion recently, and I was saying to her that one of the things I think that we've missed about in the Black diaspora worldwide, not just in America, also in the Caribbean as well, is that there was once a time when we used to pool resources. There was once a time that we would link arm in hand. We were not competitors, we were collaborators.
hmm,
So, how we built a village was everybody came together to help the first man build his house. Nobody charged him anything. He just had to feed the people who were showing up every day. And then
right,
when that house was built, we moved on to help the next person who had their stuff together, the infrastructure to build, and then we'd build one by one, helping each other. That's how we would build. We need to get into that kind of cooperative. If we can't buy a house, why can't we put together 10 people 10 people together, buy one house together, then we have until that happens, 10 people putting on 10% of everything until everybody has their own. We build a community that way. We want to that's how the Chinese work. We need to create our own. The banking systems don't work for us. We need to create our own.
They don't.
We need to create our own. We cannot. There were systems that were working for us in the UK in the Windrush era, which was right after World War II, when all of these banana boats went carrying people from the Caribbean and Africa to the UK. After then, our people went to fight the war for Britain, and then couldn't have a place to live. It was no whites, no Irish, sorry, no Irish, no dogs, no blacks, in that order. And the only way they could find houses to live was they had to do this thing, we call it a partner in Jamaica. I think in the Latin American system it's called a SAM. And so what it is that you pool your money every month. So you have like a banker. It's a banking system.
Like a susu.
Yes.
Still do susu. Yeah.
Yes. Correct. And so that was a system that allowed us. So we couldn't get loans, but we were cash heavy. And even to date, Africa does not operate on the credit that America does. And if credit don't work for your favor, why don't we operate on cash and use our ancient cash banking system? So even in Black mamas, can we have some women who say, you know what happened? Let's do this susu thing and let's do it. Let's legalize it. Let's have a structure in place and all of these things, and have, why don't we create our own Black susu system, banking system, so that we are not paying loans, that we are not underrepresented, that people can. That's how people paid for houses. That's how people sent their kids to school. That's how people paid for everything back in the day. Teachers, people who had very little, were able to build wealth because of our own system. So we have to create our own, because what it is that people are trying to do is to divide and conquer.
Right.
That's the whole premise of supremacy, is to enforce control through ways that are not even real. So you just have to say, listen, what you're saying, your reality is not really real for us. Maybe it's real for you, but we don't define ourselves by whatever shade of grandiosity that you have.
Right. So, and I think there's a thing that tends to happen. I can speak only always from an American perspective, because that's my perspective. I think there's a thing that happens with African Americans where we tend to internalize the negative things that have been taught to us about our culture. And so we forget about these. Sometimes we're not taught. Sometimes we don't know about the positive aspects of what it means to be an African American. We're not taught about the history of the susu. I know my husband's family still does a susu. They're Trinidadian. They still do a susu. It is still a way that they put their money together to pay mortgages and do all the things that they need to do. We're not taught about the history. Like when you were talking about, just in terms of how help is like just a common theme, like house help. This is something that we're just now learning about as African American women. Like, it's okay to get somebody to come clean your house. It's okay to get somebody to come cook you a meal 2, 3, 4 times a week so that you can get the work done. Like, these are things that we were previously shamed to do. But you go to Kenya, and there is a Kenyan Black woman there, and she has a maid. And you're like, oh, is this like a rich thing? No, this is just a life thing. It is a life thing. Like, it is okay to ask for help. So I think there's just such this tendency. And then also, at the end of the day, education has been colonized. And so we're not taught the positive aspects of African culture. So I think it is our responsibility as being a part of the African diaspora to really just go learn these things and then begin to internalize the positive instead of always the negative. But I think capitalism, imperialism makes it very difficult to do that. And especially, I always remind people, like, if you watch Game of Thrones, if you live in the United States, you are in King's Landing. In King's Landing, the brainwash is deep. It has to be, because you are literally in you're in the place where all the money is made. You're in the pay place where all the decisions are made. And so there has to be a certain dumbing down of the population that exists there, because if it doesn't exist, then there's the potential to be uprising. And I'm not, of course not, I'm not advocating for uprising, but what I am saying is that for African American people in particular, like, we have to begin to recognize where we are, understand the information that we're receiving and the lens by which we're receiving it through, and then begin to act accordingly. We cannot accept every American cultural norm as the norm for our households, and really beginning to look at and just say to ourselves, like, what is this? This is the question I ask myself. Is this agreeable to my humanity? Like, is this thing that you're asking me to do, this norm that you're asking me to have, this cultural understanding that I'm supposed to impose upon myself, my children, my community, is it in alignment with my humanity? Is this going to help me raise better children? Is this going to help me live a healthier life? Is this going to help have me having good mental health? So I just think at this point for African Americans, it's really about, I think we're still in the phase where we have to learn how to question more. We have to learn how to just say, is that really going to get me the results that are going to help me raise a nation of Black children who are empowered, who love themselves, who are able to go out and compete and become global citizens? Because I think other cultures ask themselves those questions because they have a prerequisite of culture that is like, I'm human. Whereas being Black in America, you're taught almost that you're not human.
And what's funny is that, like, I currently live, I'm in transition mode, and so we're off to somewhere next.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's another reason why I've centered my business around being not just being fixed in one place, but being online. Period. But I'm raising my child currently in a place where there is xenophobia, and we are the minority.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't allow other people to speak into him. I don't give them that permission.
Listen.
And when I say I don't give that permission, I mean, I can't stop people from speaking necessarily with their mouths, but in terms of spiritual authority, they don't get to speak into him. Only people who I feel have a revelation of who God has created him to be and his character and where he's going can speak into him. And so even if teachers don't understand him or have their own perceptions of him because of their own filthy or colored glasses that they're wearing,
Mm-hmm.
that's their business, not his. So we have to literally take responsibility for that conditioning, that we speak our children's identity into them, and that because identity is such a core issue. And if the identity is wrong, then everything else is going to be off. So he needs to know who he is, whose he is, and he has to have a strong foundation. He told me last night that I can't even tell you because it was a secret that he told me, but he was telling me he had this long prayer and then he was crying. I'm like, what? And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know he had a relationship with God that way. But I always encouraged him that, you know what happened? You can always talk to God. Even when you can't talk to me, you can always talk to God, because God is your father. God is your healer. God is all these things. You can just talk to, bear yourself. And also he has seen me live it.
Right.
And so when we give our children this foundation, because when you know that you were made by the living God, when you know that you are a child of the one who created the heaven and the earth, who you, boo, to tell me that I'm less than? Who you, boo? No, boo. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in the image and the likeness of God for a purpose. I'm unique. I am unique. What you say, what you speak about me is your stuff. And so, yes, we have to take back that identity that they have stolen from us. It is our inherent birthright. And so they can talk. And that's why even coming out of it, doing what you're doing, traveling and looking at the different experiences and how brown people react to different ways, different things in life and so on, and seeing that, oh, there is more. Because guess what? When you are in the same pool, seeing the same thing, and some people actually never even get out of their state.
Yes.
So how can you dream bigger for something that you don't even know exists? So we have to, you said also another critical thing, ask better questions. See,
Mhm.
see different, come out of your comfort zone, have conversations with people who don't look and think like you, who have completely different perspective
Right.
to you as well. What happens in my cooking class is that I also have Americans from all different backgrounds who will come, and maybe they have their own preconceived notions of what Black people are like as well.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
and they're educated in terms of how Black people live, how exposed and cultured we are, how we know about things like dining and etiquette and how grace and how to serve and how to entertain and all these things. And I've seen people, and I can see like the shock in their eyes when it's like a light bulb came on through this experience. And I know that I've done a few good things for my sisters in the States because
Yes.
they came out of they probably wouldn't do it in the States, but they come
Mm-mm.
to me and they do this with me. But the revelation that they've been able to have with me opens them up to who my sisters in the US, who they
Right.
live with as neighbors and treat like who really are at their core. And so that is also a huge seed to plant. But we're made for more. And that's why I deal with my clients the way that I do, because I really do feel that even if we have a level of success, we have been programmed to abide into some deep levels of limitation,
Agreed.
deep levels of limitation. So that even the most successful among some of the most successful of around us are operating on like a fraction of our real capacity, because we dare not to feel that we can occupy more space or we can be more big grand because somebody says, oh, but you're doing too much. Do too much for what? We need to be more so that we can have more. But before we have more, we want to do more. So this whole concept of having a business and doing well financially, so that you can buy Louis Vuitton for the what? What Louis
Right.
Vuitton going to do for us?
Right.
What Louis Vuitton doing for our children? For I'm not knocking brands. I'm just saying that our idea of status symbols needs to be bigger. Let's have status symbols being real estate. Let's have status symbols being how many people can I put into homes? How many families can I put into homes? How many communities can I transform? And so if we're now believing bigger than I want to do well in business so that I can take care of my family very well, my immediate family, and move that to I want to do well in business so that I can lift
Right.
all who I can lift with me. And you can do that through money, through economy, through doing it together. But we also have to break those limiting mindsets that we have inherited. And it's not just the sisters in America, there's a sisters all around, because we have been deprogrammed from what our real righteous inheritance is mentally. And so we've got to reprogram, we've got to find that faulty programming, unravel it, and reprogram to what the truth of our character and our identity is, and come up higher, believe bigger, be better, so that we can do more and have more.
You're talking to my soul, like all of it, because that's something I've just been thinking about a lot lately, Kari, is just like, am I thinking big enough? Am I thinking broad enough? How can I see more, be more, and not more from the perspective of, like you said, like consumerism, but more from the perspective of impact. Like, how can I impact more people on a deeper level? And so that's why I'm here today. So I will tell you, when I started, because I shared with the audience that I just decided to do this. Like, this has been in my spirit for a very long time. I decided last week, I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I don't care. I don't care what my obstacles are right now. This is something that I just want to do. And I was like, well, who is going to be? And I was like, I need somebody big. I need somebody who is going to pull me out of my comfort zone, pull my audience out of their comfort zone. And so I thought of you, because you had said, and then you had, remember, you commented on my LinkedIn post last week. You were like, when are we going to work together? I was like, when are we going to work together? She's going to be the perfect person. And so I was like, I just, like I said, when I met you when you were talking about light bulbs coming on for folks, I remember when I met you and I said, this woman has such a quiet and I don't like to say it's a quiet strength. It's just a strength. Like you could tell you just have an unmovable spirit in terms of your own value and your own worth and like how you see yourself in the world. And that was just something that it wasn't something that I seen. It was something that like I said, I felt it. I felt it walking into your house. Like this is a woman who, it don't matter who come up in here. She knows who she is. She knows who she is, and she understands not how she's supposed to navigate the world. Because I know that can change at times, but you understand the state with which you are to command the world, and I absolutely love it. And I'm hoping that our audience today gets some of that from your words and also from the experiences you shared with us that you have. Lastly, before we get off, can you just tell our audience again how you work with people and how they can find you?
Do you know what, Muffy? I'm right now, I do a lot of things. I have a Thrive with Kari podcast for which I just share information because I want to help as many people as possible.
And it is a great pick me up. Like if you need, you could literally, I listened to like 4 videos just sitting there. I listened to the first one intentionally, and then I just had the other ones on while I was cleaning my house. I was like, this is such a great just way to get your confidence back. If you feel like you've lost something, it's a way to add something to yourself. So I'm sorry, but you can find those on YouTube.
Correct. And we're also on all of the platforms as well, on Apple Podcasts. In fact, we ranked at number 3. We topped out at number 3 the first 30 days on Apple Podcasts in Jamaica. So Thrive with Kari is what it is. But I'm looking for 12 people because I believe in 12 because it's a number of government, and I want to create movements of leaders, women who are ready to lead in magnanimous ways, high achievers who already are doing well, but who need some fire. In Jamaica, we say fire under your wire. I love it. So it's like a little fire underneath you to get you going. And when I say fire, I don't mean just necessarily a hotspot, but just literally getting you out of your comfort zone, calling you up higher, challenging you in ways that you need to be challenged, because if we could do it on our own, then we would have already. And so we need to always, I find that the best teachers in my life have always been those who knew something about me that I didn't quite know about myself yet. And that they were able to call me up into that space. And so that's what I'm wanting to do with 12 people in my business coaching. It's not just business coaching, it's business mentorship. And what I'm really doing is a hybrid. Nobody is doing what I'm doing because of the way that I'm doing it. I'm combining my experience in media, public relations, and public speaking, broadcasting, and marketing, and really helping leaders to position yourself in a way that really allows you to touch everything and prosper.
Right.
So we're dealing with executive personal branding, executive presence, things like public speaking, things like showing up with confidence. But all of those things are coming down with identity and mindset stuff and all of those little roadblocks that we so there are people who are already successful, but just know that there's more and need that push to refine that package to be able to do more, be more, have more. And so I'm looking for 12 women who will qualify, and I will give you the link. It's kariheron.com/apply.
Can you say it again, Kari, so I can share with the audience?
Kari Heron, Kari Heron.com/apply.
Okay, gotcha. I'm going to put that in the comments for y'all.
Yes. Right. So this is my mission, to take on people for 6 weeks at a time and to move in that. And then we'll also be able to have touch points after. But I also want to be able to work with people like you who already have a tribe, because I feel like we can do a lot more together. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so collaboration is also very integral. We're not creating women who compete. We're creating women who collaborate. We're creating women who are so confident about what they carry and who they are that they have absolutely no problem saying, hey, have you met my sister over here? I need to introduce you to that one over there. Absolutely. She is a gem. Because I tell you, we have to create our own systems their systems don't work for us. So we have to create one that works for us.
Kari,
Knowing
we just have
that,
to get you to Pittsburgh for Brown Mama's weekend. We're having Brown Mama's weekend, July 27th to the 28th, and we may need to get you here. So we're gonna have to have a conversation.
absolutely, I'd love to. Absolutely
Yeah, I
love
would love
to.
to have you. And I just, like I said, I love the way you think, and I just love that you've had experiences that I know many of the women that I support have not had. And I think we need you. I think we need you to think bigger and bolder about our lives. So thank you. Go to Kari Heron, KariHeron.com/apply. If you are one of those 12 women, if you have a tribe of women that you know needs exposure to big thinkers like Kari or Kari, because I've been calling you Kari.
Oh, wait, I say Kari.
Kari.
Mhm.
If you need to be around some big thinkers, some people that are going to push you to think outside of the box, then you need to go ahead and get with Kari. Kari, thank you so much for being on the show today. I
I just put
appreciate
it up in the
you.
links. I put it up in the chat.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to put it on the banner too so y'all can see it. Yep. Let me just make a little banner. And we'll keep that up there. So if y'all want to be a part of Kari's tribe, because she's building her own tribe, and you know you need to get some pushing, please go on over to her website and apply for her program. She's offering mentorship, she's offering support, she's helping you with your media and your public speaking and your marketing. So I would love to see y'all get the support y'all need from Kari. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you immensely for having this conversation with me.
And thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of serving your women. I really have. It's very interesting, right? Because, and this is, I'm going to say one more thing before you have to
Mhm.
go. We must never, ever, ever, ever look at people, meet people, and ever think that they're anything less than God's greatest and best. Because I didn't know who you were when I met you.
Right.
I didn't know all of these wonderful things that you've been doing and all of these things. I didn't know. And if I had decided that I was going to, you know what I mean, like treat you some type of way or whatever, not, then what? So treat people well, with grace, with honor,
Right.
with dignity, and open your grace. The gift that you give others will open doors for you. That's a huge asset that everybody has. Treat people well.
Well, thank you for treating me well. Thank you for cooking with me and for me, and inviting me into your tribe. I
We have to
appreciate
cook
you.
again. We have to
Well,
cook
we
again.
will cook again because listen, I learned a lot about Aruba, but what I will say was I love the feeling that I got when I was there. But I still, yes, I will be back. I will absolutely be back. And when I do, I'm hitting you up. And
Yes,
if you're
ma'am.
there, because you may not be.
I may have to come back seasonally for classes from time to time, but I'm on my last leg.
I hear you.
Full
I hear
time,
you.
yeah. Mhm.
Thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Muffy, and thank you, everyone. Nice
No
to meet
problem.
you.
Thank you, sis.
Bless you.
Peace. Don't forget, y'all, visit KariHeron.com/apply. If you are one of the 12 women who need some pushing in your life, who you know you need a coach so that you can go to the next level, and you know that person needs to be a world traveler, a world renowned media personality, chef, all those things, you know where to find her. Thank y'all so much for joining me and Kari's conversation. So, what's next? I have to tell y'all about our sponsor for today. So our sponsor for today is Dollar Bank. And Dollar Bank needs you to come on out to their Way Home workshop. Wait, let me share. Wait a minute. Okay, where's my present? I need to share my screen. Let me see. At first I need to pull up the right thing for y'all. All right, there we go. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share the Way Home workshop. So there we go. If you are in Pittsburgh on Saturday, May 11th, and you are a person, a woman, a man, a family member who wants to learn about home ownership and get some support on your home ownership journey, because listen, y'all sisters is always talking about y'all want to own a home. And I know, because listen, it took me and my husband 10 years to buy our first house. 10 whole years to buy our very first house. And it was quite the journey. We had to get our credit together. We had to get on one page. I'm so glad y'all enjoyed the conversation. Kari, they enjoyed the conversation. Let me just put that up there. Great conversation. They enjoyed the conversation. It was a great conversation. If you missed it, you need to go back and listen to the replay. But if you are someone who needs to purchase a home and you know you need support and you know you need some money for down payment and you know you need to get your credit together, like me and my husband 10 years, well, not 10 years ago, we bought our house we've been here for almost 6 years. But we bought our house when it took us 10 years to get it together. So I know the struggle. So you can go on Saturday, May 11th at 9 a.m. Dollar Bank is having their free home buying workshop. And you'll be able to learn about their Way Home program that basically puts you through a program so that you can purchase your first home. You can learn about their match saving program, which if you qualify, you can receive up to $5,000 for your down payment and closing costs. And so I just encourage you that if you are a mama or a papa and you know it's time for you to go ahead and purchase your first home and you're ready to put in the work, go ahead and visit, what's the website? dollarbank.com/the way home landing. So I'm going to put that link in the comments for y'all so that you can go ahead and join. Let me put it up on the screen. I'll put it up on the screen. Look, I'm still learning how to work this thing, y'all. All right, there you go. There it go. There it is. There it go. There it is. So if you're looking to purchase a home and you know that now is the time, then guess what? On Saturday, May 11th, Dollar Bank is having their Way Home buying workshop, and you need to be in the house. It is free. They give you food. They got childcare. They got a speaker. And actually, my husband was a presenter at one of these workshops before. So they bring in people who have went through the workshop, and you get to hear about going through the workshop, firsthand from folks that already went through it. So go on over to Dollar Bank and, figure out how you want to buy you a house if you need a house, because generational wealth is important. And we know that one of the ways that we pass down generational wealth to our children is through home purchasing. All right. So take that down, go on over to Dollar Bank, get you a house. Long story short. All right. So what's next? I think that is it. And that is all. No, but they didn't come for the roll call. See, y'all was supposed to come at 9 o'clock or after me and Kari had a conversation so that y'all could tell us about your businesses. So just remember, next Monday, if you have a business, if you have a anything you're doing, a program, an event that you want to market, come on to the link. Let me pull that banner back up. You can come on to our link. Let me go down. And you can come tell us about it. So I don't know how many viewers we had, but from my side, it looks like we had at least 50 viewers throughout this whole call, which is probably more. But you can come on live and you can tell people about your business. So make sure you visit the link. And I'll also put that in the email. I think I put it in the email when I send it out this time. And you can come on and you're going to get a whole 30 seconds to just say, hey, my name is so-and-so. This is what I'm doing. This is where you can find me at. And come on out to my event on such and such day. So don't forget about that. But it is now, we have come to the end of our time together. I have thoroughly enjoyed this and I cannot wait. I was so nervous, y'all. I was so nervous and I don't know why, listen, y'all know I used to talk to y'all all the time. I used to be on here talking to y'all all the time. But I was so nervous to do today. I was, for the first time in a long time. That's also how I knew it was the thing I was supposed to do. Because I don't get nervous on stage. I do speaking gigs all the time and I do not get nervous. I just I'm going in here to do the thing. But for whatever reason, I was nervous about talking to y'all today. So because I cared. That's Brittany, thank you for holding me down. I wish I had a gift card or something to give to you. I'm giving you hearts. I'm making it rain on you right now. You don't even see. There's no money here. But so, thank you so much for supporting me. I see everybody. Oh, Keisha, I know you was on here because I looked on Facebook and I see you are Kari's Jamaican sister, Keisha. That's one of my bestest friends, and she is also Jamaican, and that's my sis. So I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for supporting me. And I just want to leave y'all with some very encouraging words. And so I always remind myself, I always know something that I've learned is that it is the hardest thing in the world to accept what is true. And That's because oftentimes we don't realize that what God put inside of you, you have everything you need to take the next step. You have everything you need. You have everything you need to take your place under the banner of what you know your soul is calling you to do, your purpose, your true north. So, why is it so hard to accept the truth? And it's because we all have egos, because we are all truly afraid of the power that sits so confidently, but oftentimes unused inside of us. But guess what? You always know the lie by the stripes it wears, because ego yells and intuition whispers. We can be so good at ignoring the red flags of our egos. And if I would have paid attention to the red flags of my egos that was saying, ain't nobody gonna watch you, this is not gonna work out today, those people are not gonna show up for you, I would not have come on today and did my little first talk show episode. So we love to follow the big red signs that point to no, and oftentimes we ignore the subtle, strong, certain, and assured voice within us that simply says, yes, this is the way. It's the voice that comes first. It's a feeling that is oftentimes surrounded by certainty. But immediately after the strength of our intuition and its confident answer, ego jumps in. It points, it distracts, it yells, it demands our attention, but it lacks substance. It's grounded outside of what is real, and it needs you to believe it. So it convinces you. It convinces you with every attention-seeking emphasis that this is the right way. And you know how you know it's not your intuition and it is your ego? Because it will lack peace. Lacking peace is a sign that your ego is in charge. Ego is the little person inside of you that wants validation. But as a colleague once told me, validation is for parking tickets. Grown people do not need anyone, anything to validate us except the divine energy within us that points us towards our true north. Our intuition, our instincts, the Holy Spirit is guiding us as humans created by the energy of the Most High. When we take action, we need the confirmation of our internal voice. That is it. That is all. Because surely gifts given from the Most High will be supported by the community that they are gifted for. That alone is enough. Your intuition and connection to source energy is enough. So the next time you're unsure about whether it belongs to you, whether it was ever yours in the first place, or whether you should continue, ask yourself the question, did it give your soul peace to embrace this interaction the very first time it spoke to you? Or did the ego cut you down? Did it swipe in and convince with fear and frustration what your intuition had already told you was real? We can spend all the time in the world arguing within ourselves about something that is not ours and never was. Or we can lay down our guard and take action on what is real, what is certain, and what you know will always be true. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this very first episode of Mondays with Muffy. I cannot wait to spend more time with y'all next Monday. I will see y'all next Monday at 8 a.m. from 8 a.m. till I'm done talking. And this was such a pleasure. This was such a treat for me today. Thank you for supporting me. I do not take it lightly that anybody showed up here and just listened, commented, shared, whatever you did. I just appreciate you. And I hope that I can count on you next Monday. And if I can't, watch the replay. All right, y'all. Have a great Monday. This is not an April Fool's joke. I will actually be back next Monday. Talk to y'all later. Peace.